Hello everybody, Mike Tenney here at the Tenney School for Vlog 16. Today we are talking about the Houston literacy crisis. And joining me today will be a special guest, Jackie Daughtry from the nonprofit organization Making It Better here in Houston. And we are going to kind of dig into some of the statistics about the literacy crisis in Houston, as well as some of the things that we can do about it. So if you like this topic, please do us a favor and leave us a comment below or subscribe to our channel. We'd love for you to get these videos on a regular basis. For those of you who don't know, the Tenney Vlogs are a series of videos that we put together for parents and educators trying to help their kids reach the next level of success academically. So without further ado, let's get into our talk about the Houston literacy crisis. So hello everybody, here we are today to talk about literacy and in particular the Houston literacy crisis. And I have a guest expert here to help me take on this topic, Jackie Daughtry. Jackie, you are the expert in this topic, I know.
I don't know about that.
So you're here at the Tenney School to do this vlog, but normally you work at Making It Better. And could you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got involved in literacy and making it better?
Okay, well, this was never my plan, actually. It was a happy accident, I call it. I'm a native Houstonian, went through public school here, Houston ISD all the way, University of Houston. And our children went through HISD. My husband went through HISD. So I have a lot of education experience in that way as a really involved parent. And just loving schools and how schools operate and the energy of schools. And so my educational background is in business, actually in human resources. And then I spent a lot of years when our kids were growing up, working part-time doing small business management and accounting, which for me was not a career. It was just a way to pay for lacrosse camp in Massachusetts and cheerleading camp and vacations and things like that. I love doing that, but I always loved being able to be involved in the community and do things with the kids' schools and just all kind of things with children and things in the community, things at church. And so when Jerry Davis, who is our founder of Making It Better, he was our son's lacrosse coach at Westside High School, and he had a vision, actually after he left HISD, to start a nonprofit with the idea of giving kids who didn't necessarily have role models or access to various opportunities, whether they be academic or enrichment, giving them opportunities for those things and having people who would really come alongside them and their families and provide those opportunities. And having been his lacrosse team mom for 4 years prior, he knew of just kind of my love for kids and education and the community, and so he asked me if I would help him start it. So I did, and that was 11 years ago.
And so, correct me if I'm wrong, but there was a tie-in to Katrina with when it started or how it started or the momentum?
Yes, there was. Actually, we started our first program in January of 2007. Jerry got the vision to start it in 2006, and we got our start at Walnut Bend Elementary in West Houston, which at that time had the largest population of children that had evacuated from Hurricane Katrina in the entire state. And the children, God love them, needed so much help in many, many ways, academically, socially, emotionally. And we had already been in conversations with that principal about sharing our ideas with her and bringing programming to the school, but there was just no way to pay for it. And so eventually there was funding through the Bush Clinton funds and other things that came to fund programs to help children who'd been evacuated from Katrina. And so that's really how we got our start. Our first program was at Walnut Bend with 91 students. 85 of those students had been evacuees from Katrina.
Okay. So started as a literacy program, kind of kicked into gear with the Katrina kids, but obviously it's grown to something bigger than that. And so you're involved in the literacy in a lot of different ways now, in a lot of different schools. So we're calling this the Houston Literacy Crisis. Can you tell me a little bit, why is there a literacy crisis in Houston?
Well, it was kind of named that a few years back when the Barbara Bush Houston Literacy Foundation released a pretty shocking report, and they called it was a blueprint report outlining the crisis. And the reason that we have a crisis here really is not because we don't have the resources to take care of things, or the wherewithal, or even the people with the heart to do it. It's just I think a lot of people are not aware that that there is a problem. Just a few things to just get people's attention to think about this crisis is, statistically speaking, there's only one book for every 300 kids living in low-income areas. One book. Think about how many books you have at home for your children, or if you're a grandparent, maybe you have your grandkids. So if kids don't have books in the home, how are they reading except for at school? Not to mention children who haven't even gone to school yet, the little kids.
Right.
And when you think about 80% of a child's brain is developed by the time they're age 3, and they don't go to school till they're usually 5, sometimes 4 in public school, then there's a lot of things that need to be being done at home. And so it's really, there's a lot about parent education that need parent empowerment, just building skills and resources. And to me, a really startling thing in the Houston area, this isn't just about HISD, it's Houston, or the Houston metropolitan area, that 60% of kindergartners, when they enter the public school system, they, in pre-assessment testing, are shown to not be ready to read. And when I say this, people come up to me and said, well, what do you mean they're not ready to read? Kindergartners aren't supposed to read. I'm like, okay, that's right. But they are already supposed to know their letters, their numbers. They're supposed to know how to count. They already should know their shapes, their colors, all those kinds of things. And then usually I get this look of, well, don't kids know that when they go to kindergarten? Well, no. In the Houston area, 60% of kids do not know that.
So are these 60% low income, or are there some middle income kids in that group?
They do not. I don't have the information about the breakdown. But my educated guess would be primarily it's low income students, okay. But I wouldn't be surprised to find some middle income students in there too.
Okay.
I really wouldn't.
Okay, so that leads us to kind of our second part of this, our second leg of this journey. We kind of necked in on the literacy problem is really highly connected with income. So explain that to me a little bit. How is income and literacy related?
Okay, so think about this. You're in a family where perhaps, whether it's a single parent family or a mom and dad, where people are working multiple jobs. Many people have the idea that people who are poor or people who live in poverty don't work. That's not true. If you work a full-time job and you make $10 an hour, you are way under the poverty level. Think about how much things cost. So your goals are very basic. They're keeping a roof over the head, keeping food on the table, keeping the lights on. Mm-hmm. That's your priorities. And those have to be your priorities. Whereas the higher your income rises, those are just kind of given things. And so your priorities with your children become
more enrichment
activities, not basic needs activities.
So even people that are working, if they're low income, they're consumed by their work. They don't have time to be at home with their kids because they are consumed by their work, and their work really only provides the basic necessities.
That's right. And also, if you think about it, the higher income you earn, usually the more flexibility you have in your schedule as well. There's a misnomer about, oh, well, they don't even come to a parent-teacher conference, or they don't this, or they don't that. Well, geez, the parent-teacher conferences are in the middle of the workday. Yeah. If you have an hourly job, your employer may not allow you to take off. And if they do, you're not paid because you're not working. So there's a lot of trade-offs. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of trade-offs. And unfortunately, I mean, that just creates a lot of stress for a parent and for the child too. And that really does affect learning. And it's not about parents not wanting the best for their children, because I've never met a parent that didn't want the best for their child, didn't love their child, want to do everything for their child. But people don't know what they don't know. Yeah. And it's a lot of parent education that needs to take place.
So I just thought, just occurred to me, you're familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Yes.
So literacy is pretty high up there.
Yes.
On the hierarchy. So,
and I was actually picturing that pyramid as I was talking. I just didn't mention it.
So the impoverished people are working so hard to get the lower levels of the hierarchy that they don't get to that higher level. And so lower income kids have an impact on their literacy. Now, how does literacy impact income?
Literacy impacts income hugely. So there is a direct, I got to take it back further. I got to take it back to young kids to kind of build the case for this. Because when you consider that 25% of third graders in the Houston area do not pass the state reading assessment, the passing rate is a very low bar. Mm-hmm. It's not anything to celebrate, believe me. And then also, by the time a child is in third grade, at the end of third grade, if they're not reading proficiently on grade level, there are many factors for the trajectory of their entire life that can be determined there, such as not graduating from high school. That's 4 times more likely if they're not on grade level by the time they're at end of third grade. So that's an 8 or 9-year-old, a little child. Some studies show that some municipalities project out their prison beds that they're going to need by looking at third grade reading scores, and then they project out years later, because there is a direct link between illiteracy and prison populations. So you look at 85% of juveniles, that's kids 10 to 17 in the juvenile justice system, are functionally illiterate. 70% of the adult population, incarcerated population, reads at a 4th grade level. So it's not a leap to say there is a huge correlation between literacy and prison populations. And then you go further, say someone's not in prison, hopefully. You look at job opportunities, especially now with how our society is so global and technology. I am not the sharpest tool in the shed on technology, that is for sure. But I'm a great reader. Welfare recipients, 42% of welfare recipients have not completed high school, just high school. Low literate adults typically make only about $300 a week. $300 a week. You can't do much with that.
Sure.
So there is a huge. That's why it's a crisis. It's huge, and it's a solvable situation. That's why I get so frustrated.
Sure.
It's very solvable.
So so we've talked about third grade is kind of like this action point that we've talked about, and we've talked about how income impacts literacy. Those kids coming into third grade have a lot of, if they've been in homes where they haven't had books, they don't have parents with a chance to help them attain literacy, they're going to be behind, and moving forward, that will impact the trajectory of their life.
Right.
So if we can somehow step in and help those kids as they approach that point in their life, which is only third grade, then we can make a difference. So what are some of the things that we need to be doing to help these kids?
So we've got to step in long before third grade. I say, with it making it better, we actually our reading intervention program is kindergarten through second grade. On really struggling readers, we have this program in 9 Houston ISD schools, which is a tiny little drop in the bucket. Little drop in the bucket. Even those 9 schools that we're at, the principals tell us we could be serving double the kids that we're serving. So, providing interventions alongside of the teachers. There on school campuses for the younger kids, the early grades, but then going a step further on providing things before kids even enter school. We are hopefully in about 3 months launching a mobile program that we call Ready, Set, Read, and it is geared for children, babies, 6 months, through kids who have not started school yet, 3 to 4 years old, and their caregivers, to really build those pre-reading skills that I talked about a few minutes ago, so that when they get to kindergarten, they're not walking into the door behind before they ever even get started. And not only that, really working with their parent or whoever it is that's caring for them during the day, whether it's their grandma or a babysitter or their dad or whoever, and helping them develop skills and providing them materials, because we already talked about providing base things. This is what they're providing with their families. So the idea of purchasing books or purchasing magnetic letters for the fridge or whatever it might be is not really in the budget. And so providing easy, fun, interactive things that really build vocabulary and develop those language skills and learning how to structure sentences and all of that happens in those first few years of life before children ever get to school. And really coming alongside those parents to help them understand they are their child's first teacher, and they're the most important teacher they're ever going to have for their whole life. They don't have to have a high school diploma. They don't have to have a college degree. They don't have to have a doctorate. There's basic fun things that they can do every day. It's not sitting down at the kitchen table with a lesson plan. It's things that they can do during bath time, during grocery shopping, during cooking, everything. And those are the things that we impart to parents through this Ready, Set, Read program that we'll be taking on. We're in the process of upfitting a shuttle bus into a mobile classroom that'll be going to Houston Housing Authority properties. Hopefully we're going to get started here in a few months. We're waiting on the upfitting of the bus, and we'll be taking it into communities that really don't have access to these kinds of programming, whether it's lack of transportation or they just don't live in an area where these things are readily available, and obviously they're not able to pay for services like this. So we're a nonprofit, so these services are free and they're being funded by foundations and individuals and things like that. But in our reading intervention program, as well as our after school programming too, we do a lot of things with parents, really trying to partner with our parents, showing them that they have what it takes. They really do. And we're going to help them with that. We're going to, just love them and help them learn how to develop their own potential to help their child from birth all the way through high school, because parents have to be engaged in this process of education, whether their child is a little bitty one or a big one.
Sure.
And getting parents engaged and letting them see that they have a role to play, they have a place, and they have what it takes, and we're going to help you develop your skills even more. That's really is the key to the whole thing.
Wow. So you're a little bit passionate about this.
I am. I'm sorry. I get worked up. I get worked up over it.
Well, I think, this topic is really great for us, because I think in the little bubble that we live in, sometimes we don't see what's going on all around us in the city of Houston, and we may not even see little ways that we could help. And so it's eye-opening to hear some of the stats and a little bit about what's happening just around the corner from us, just down the street from us, and other parts of our city. So we've kind of hit on this a couple times. So Jackie is involved in a specific organization called Making It Better, and it's obviously tied to literacy, which is why we've picked this topic with you. You want to tell us a little bit more about Making It Better and how people can find out more?
Well, you can find out everything and more that you wanted to know on our website at mibtx.org. We love to take people on tours. That's kind of my favorite thing ever, is to take people on tours of our program so you can see what we're doing actually in person. It really brings it to life. Most people are surprised when they realize that this is a problem all over our city. This isn't just somewhere else or on the other side of town or in the inner city. It's everywhere. And there are things that people can do to help with that, whether it's volunteering, whether it's obviously donating money. I mean, cash is king, right? But there's everything about our programs is on our website. My email address is on our website. My cell phone number is on our website. Give me a call. I'd love to hear from people. As you can tell, as Mike said, I am really passionate about it. It's such a basic need that we have in this city and in cities throughout the country. Houston is not unique. This isn't unique to Houston, but there are things that we can do to turn this around.
Sure.
And at Making It Better, we're really proud to say that we are doing things that are transforming lives through literacy. And we love the more the merrier on our bandwagon to do that. So just head to our website and find out more about us.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I know this is a little bit of a strange format. Is this the first time you've done this?
It's the first time I've done a vlog. Yes, it is. It's not the first time I've done an interview, but it's the first time I've done it this way. Okay. And I really, really appreciate the opportunity, Mike. As you can tell, it's kind of my favorite subject.
Sure.
So it's good, and you never know who you're going to spark an interest in to say, hey, I didn't even know that, and that I can do something about that.
Sure.
So.
All right. Well, thank you. And thank you guys for joining us today. We will see you next time. All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining us for this topic today. Hopefully you got something out of hearing some statistics and some methods of how we can help overcome this literacy crisis that we find ourselves in. And once again, if you like this content, please share it or leave us a comment down below. We'd love to engage with you that way. Otherwise, we will see you next time on the Tenny Vlog.